I push the front door shut with both hands as a cold Portland wind slams against it, rattling the glass like it's trying to force its way inside. My fingers tremble on the lock as another burst of wind pushes me backward, making me stumble against the hallway wall. The house groans around me, settling into the kind of silence that feels almost alive. A cardboard box I dropped earlier slides across the floor and bumps into my foot, scattering clothes everywhere. His clothes, mostly, things I can't decide whether to keep or burn. Outside, something scratches the bottom of the door, once, then again harder. I freeze, breath caught halfway in my throat, unable to tell if the sound is real or if loneliness is finally playing tricks on me. The wind picks up again, howling through the eaves, and I press my palm flat against the door, feeling the cold seep through the wood. The scratching grows sharper, more insistent, like nails dragging across old paint. My heart kicks against my ribs. I'm not expecting anyone. I haven't spoken to another person in days. The porch light flickers outside, casting shadows that dance across the frosted glass panel. I can see movement, something small, something shifting its weight. My hand hovers over the deadbolt, hesitating. Part of me wants to pretend I didn't hear anything, to walk back into the living room and let whatever's out there disappear into the night. But I can't because the scratching comes again, and this time it sounds different. Less urgent, almost pleading. I lean forward, gripping the doorknob, my pulse loud in my ears. The metal feels ice cold under my fingers. I hold my breath, listening. For a moment, everything goes still. The wind, the scratching, even the rush of blood in my head. Then it comes again, softer this time, almost hesitant. I don't know what or who is waiting on the other side, but I know I can't keep standing here, frozen in the wreckage of my own life, afraid to open a door. If stories like this one touch you, please subscribe and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support means the world. I take a deep breath, steadying my hand on the doorknob, realizing how I even got to this moment, how everything that once felt solid crumbled so quietly. I didn't notice until it was already gone. My name is Claire Morgan, and I live in Portland, Oregon. I moved into this house 3 years ago thinking it would be my forever place. Shared walls, shared dreams, shared routines. We painted the kitchen together on a Sunday morning, laughing when he got more paint on himself than the cabinets. We planted herbs in the backyard that never quite took root. We talked about getting a dog someday when things settled down, when we had more time. We picked out paint colors for the bedroom we'd eventually redo. We made plans. But now the house feels unfamiliar, bigger, heavier, like it's holding its breath, waiting for something that will never come back. The walls seem taller, the ceilings pressed down, every corner holds a memory I'm not ready to face. It all started unraveling the day he left. Not with shouting or slamming doors, not with accusations or broken dishes. It was quieter than that, more devastating in its calm. He sat on the edge of the bed, hands folded in his lap like he was about to pray, and said he couldn't do this anymore. He didn't explain what this was. He didn't have to. I'd felt it too, the slow erosion of us, the way we'd stopped reaching for each other in the dark, the way conversations became transactions instead of connections, the way we'd become roommates who occasionally shared a bed. He packed a bag while I sat on the couch, numb, watching him move through the house like he was already a ghost. I didn't stop him. I didn't beg. I didn't even cry not then. He paused at the door, turned back, and said he was sorry. But the word landed flat, empty, like something he thought he was supposed to say. Like a script he'd rehearsed but didn't believe. And then he was gone. The silence that followed was suffocating. It settled into the house like dust, thick and impossible to ignore. It filled the spaces between furniture, crept into closets, wrapped itself around door frames. Every room held a ghost of what used to be. The kitchen, where we argued about nothing and everything, whose turn it was to do dishes, whether we should save money or take that trip, why he always worked late. The living room, where we'd sit on opposite ends of the couch, scrolling through our phones instead of talking, the television playing to fill the void. The bed, where we tried to fix things with touch instead of words, hoping our bodies could say what our mouths couldn't. I started sorting his things into boxes. T-shirts that still smelled like this cologne. Books he never finished. Bookmarks stuck somewhere in the middle. A coffee mug with a chip in the handle that he refused to throw away. A watch that stopped working months ago. Each item felt like a small funeral. I'd pick something up, turn it over in my hands, and wonder how something so ordinary could carry so much weight. How a pair of socks could make my chest hurt. The terrifying part wasn't the pain. It was the realization that the home I'd built, the life I'd built, now felt like someone else's. Like I'd been living in a house that never truly belonged to me, playing a role I didn't audition for. Like I'd been performing a version of myself that wasn't quite real. I stopped sleeping well. The bed felt too big, too empty, the sheets too cold. I'd lie awake listening to the house settle, every creak and groan sounding like footsteps that would never come. I stopped eating regular meals. Food lost its taste. I'd make toast and forget to eat it. I'd pour coffee and let it go cold on the counter. I stopped answering texts from friends who wanted to check in, who left messages asking if I was okay, if I needed anything. I didn't know how to explain that I wasn't okay, but also didn't know what I needed. I moved through the house like a stranger, careful not to disturb anything, as if the walls might collapse if I exhaled too hard. I avoided mirrors. I stopped opening the curtains. I let mail pile up on the kitchen table. I wore the same sweatshirt for days. And then, in the middle of all that silence, in the middle of a storm that matched the one inside me, came the sound at the door. I opened the door slowly, expecting a branch blown loose by the storm or a package left on the wrong porch, or nothing at all, just the wind playing games with my exhausted mind. Maybe a neighbor checking on something, maybe nothing. Instead, I see a small, soaked, shivering mixed-breed dog sitting directly on my doormat. Rainwater drips from his matted fur, pooling on the concrete beneath him. His ribs showed through his coat, each bone visible under the wet, clinging hair. His eyes looked both afraid and hopeful, wide and dark, reflecting the dim porch light like two polished stones. He doesn't bark, doesn't move, doesn't jump or wag or do any of the things I'd expect a dog to do. He just looks up at me like he's been waiting, like he knew I would eventually open the door, like he'd been sitting there for hours, patient, certain. The rain falls harder, drumming against the roof, splashing off the gutters in heavy streams. I stand there, hands still on the doorknob, not sure what to do. My mind races through logistics I'm not ready for. I'm barely keeping myself together. I can't take on something else that needs saving. I can't be responsible for another living thing when I can't even remember to eat breakfast, when I can barely get out of bed most mornings. I don't have dog food. I don't have a leash. I don't have the energy. But he doesn't move, doesn't beg, doesn't whine or paw at my leg. He just sits there, small and patient and impossibly still, as if he understands that I need time to decide, as if he knows rushing me would be the wrong move. A gust of wind sends Rain sideways across the porch, and he flinches, pressing himself lower to the ground. His ears flatten against his head. Water runs in rivulets down his face. A tiny whimper slips out, soft, barely audible over the storm, like he's asking permission to exist, to take up space, to be seen, not demanding, just asking. Something in me shifts, small but undeniable, like a door opening inside my chest that I didn't know was closed. I crouch down, bringing myself to his level. The concrete is cold and wet beneath my knees. He watches me carefully, not retreating, but not coming closer either. His whole body trembles, whether from cold or fear or exhaustion, I can't tell. Maybe all three. Up close, I can see the mud caked into his paws, black and thick. The burrs tangled in his fur, caught in knots I'll have to carefully work out. The way his breathing comes quick and shallow, little clouds of vapor in the cold air. There's a small cut above his eye, dried blood mattered in the fur. "Hey," I say softly, my voice rough from disuse. It sounds strange in my own ears, like I'm hearing someone else speak. "Where did you come from?" He tilts his head slightly, as if considering the question. One ear perks up. Then he takes one cautious step forward, claws clicking softly on the wet concrete. Another step. Until he's close enough that I can feel the cold radiating off him, can smell the damp dog scent mixed with rain and earth. He sniffs my hand, his nose cold and wet, then presses it gently against my palm. His touch is tentative but grounding, like it's reminding me that the world outside my grief still exists, still moves, still asks things of me, still needs me to show up. I don't remember deciding. There's no conscious thought process, no weighing of pros and cons. I just stand up, my knees protesting, step back and hold the door open wider. "Come on," I whisper. He hesitates for only a second, looking up at me one more time as if to confirm this is real. Then he walks inside, slow and careful, like he's not sure if he's allowed, like he's been turned away before. He stops just past the threshold, looking up at me again, waiting for permission to go further. Water drips from his fur onto my hardwood floor, forming a small puddle. I close the door behind him, shutting out the storm. The wind immediately feels distant, muffled. The silence inside feels different and now less suffocating, more expectant. Like the house is holding its breath again, but this time in anticipation rather than dread. He shakes himself, sending droplets of water across the hardwood floor, spattering the wall, the box of clothes, my legs. And I almost laugh. Almost. The sound catches in my throat, unfamiliar. "You're a mess," I tell him, and he wags his tail once, tentative, like he's testing whether it's safe to hope. I grab an old towel from the linen closet, one I'd been meaning to throw away. Faded and thin, and kneel beside him, wrapping it around his shaking body. He leans into the warmth immediately, pressing against my hands as I dry him off. His breathing starts to slow. The trembling eases. And for the first time in weeks, I'm not thinking about the empty side of the bed or the boxes in the hallway or the life I thought I'd have or all the ways I failed. I'm just here, present, needed. And it feels like something I'd forgotten how to be. I bring him into the kitchen and fill a bowl with water. He drinks like he hasn't had any in days, gulping it down so fast I worry he'll make himself sick. Water splashes over the rim. When he's finished, he looks up at me, water dripping from his muzzle, and something in his eyes looks softer, less desperate, more trusting, like he's starting to believe this might be real. I rummage through the pantry and find some leftover chicken from 2 nights ago. I shred it into small pieces and put it on a plate. He eats carefully, almost politely, not the frantic gulping I expected, like he's trying to show me he has manners, that he's worth keeping. I notice how he keeps close but never pushes. He doesn't jump on me or demand attention or bark at shadows. He just exists beside me, a warm presence in my peripheral vision. Like he senses my exhaustion, like he knows I have nothing left to give and isn't asking for more than I can offer. He seems to understand that fragile things need gentle handling. I start calling him River because he arrived with the rain, because he seemed to flow into my life when I wasn't looking, because naming him feels like the first intentional thing I've done in weeks. The first choice I've made that felt like mine. I tell myself it's temporary, just one night. Just until the storm passes and I can figure out where he came from, if anyone's looking for him. I'll check for missing dog posts online. I'll call the shelter in the morning. I'll make flyers. But even as I think these things, I'm pulling out an old blanket from the hall closet, one with a faded pattern of leaves. I fold it into a soft pile near the couch, arranging it carefully. He circles it twice, sniffing, then settles in with a heavy sigh, as if he's been carrying something too, and is finally allowed to set it down. His eyes close almost immediately. That night, I lie in bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to the rain taper off into a steady drizzle. The sound is almost soothing now instead of oppressive. The house feels different, less hollow, like it's breathing again. I hear River shift downstairs, the soft sound of his breathing, the creak of the floorboards as he moves. And then, quietly, I hear him padding up the stairs, each step careful, testing. He appears in the doorway, a shadow in the darkness. He doesn't rush in. He just stands there, waiting, his eyes catching the faint light from the street lamp outside. I should tell him to go back downstairs. I should keep boundaries. I should maintain some kind of structure, but I don't. Come here, I whisper into the dark. He trots over, his nails clicking softly on the hardwood, and curls at the foot of my bed, settling into the space like he's always belonged there. The mattress dips slightly with his weight. I don't move him. I don't send him away. I just close my eyes and listen to him breathe, steady and rhythmic, and for the first time in weeks, I fall asleep without crying. Mornings become different. I wake to find River sitting by the bedroom door, not whining or scratching, just waiting patiently for me to open my eyes. When I do, his tail starts wagging, a slow, hopeful rhythm. He follows me downstairs, stays close while I make coffee, watches me with those dark, attentive eyes. He sits by the front door after breakfast, gently nudging me toward fresh air when I'd rather stay buried under blankets, when I'd rather hide from the world for another day. At first, I resist. I don't want to walk through the gray Portland streets. Don't want to see couples holding hands, or families laughing in coffee shops, or everything I don't have anymore. I don't want to be perceived to have to smile at neighbors to pretend I'm okay. But he's persistent, not demanding, just present, patient, like he knows something I don't yet, like he can see a version of me I can't see myself. So I clip on the leash I bought at the corner store, cheap, nylon, bright blue, and step outside. We walk through damp parks where fog clings to the trees and the air smells like pine and wet earth and something green and alive. My chest, which has felt tight for so long I forgot what it was like to breathe fully, begins to loosen. Not all at once, not miraculously, just a little, enough that I notice, enough that I take a deeper breath than I have in days, and it doesn't hurt quite as much. River doesn't pull ahead like I've seen other dogs do. He stays beside me, matching my pace, stopping when I stop, moving when I'm ready. He sniffs at roots and puddles and fire hydrants, tail wagging gently, finding small joys in ordinary things. I watch him investigate a patch of moss with intense focus, and I remember what that felt like, finding joy without effort, without justification, without having to earn it. We pass other people walking their dogs, and they smile at me. Some say, "Good morning." I manage to nod back. It's not much, but it's something. Evenings settle into a rhythm I didn't plan, but can't imagine giving up. River rests his head on my knee while I sit on the couch, grounding me when anxiety spikes, when my thoughts spiral toward all the ways I failed, all the things I should have said or done differently, all the moments I could have saved us if I'd just tried harder. His weight is solid, real, undeniable. It reminds me that I'm still here, that being here is enough, that I don't have to be fixed to be worthy of taking up space. I start eating regular meals again because he needs feeding schedules. I can't let him go hungry, so I set alarms on my phone, measure out kibble I bought at the pet store, fill his water bowl twice a day. And somewhere along the way, I start eating too. Toast in the morning with actual butter. Soup at night that I heat up properly instead of eating cold from the can. Small things, but they add up. My body starts to feel less like something I'm dragging around and more like something I inhabit. I clean the house, not frantically, not to erase the past, but to make space for what feels new. I vacuum the living room, running the vacuum under furniture I haven't moved in months. I wash the sheets, hang them outside to dry in the rare Portland sun, bring them in smelling like fresh air. I open the windows and let the breeze push out the stale grief that's been sitting in every corner. Riva follows me from room to room, his presence turning the house back into something that feels like mine, not ours, not his, mine. I talk out loud again, mostly to him. I tell him about my day, about the way the sky looked during our walk, about the book I'm trying to read but can't quite focus on. I tell him about the fight I had with my ex 3 months before he left, about how I knew then that we were ending but couldn't admit it. I tell him things I haven't told anyone. He listens without judgment, without offering solutions, without needing me to be anything other than what I am right now. His ears perk up when I talk, like he's really listening, like what I'm saying matters. Slowly, quietly, without fanfare or revelation. I start to feel less like I'm drowning and more like I'm treading water. Not saved yet, not fixed, not whole, but moving, breathing, surviving in a way that feels less desperate and more intentional. One morning, River does something that breaks something open in me. We're halfway through our walk on a gray Portland morning when River stops suddenly, planting his feet, blocking my path. I tug gently on the leash, expecting him to keep moving like he always does, but he doesn't. Instead, he turns to face me fully. He sits, looks up at me with those dark, steady eyes that have seen me cry and rage and go silent, and places one paw deliberately on my ankle, steady, intentional, grounding, like an anchor. My breath catches, but not in fear, not in panic. Something unclenches inside me, something I didn't realize I was holding so tightly it had become part of my body. The tightness in my chest loosens like a fist opening. The knot in my throat releases. The weight on my shoulder lifts just enough that I can straighten my spine. Tears come, but they're soft, not desperate. They roll down my cheeks without sound, without shaking, just quiet acknowledgement of everything I've been carrying. The grief, the failure, the loneliness, the fear that I'll always feel this broken. River doesn't move. He just stays there, paw pressed against me, warm and solid, like he's saying, I'm here. You're not alone. You never were. For the first time since the breakup, I feel the air filling my lungs without struggle. Deep and full and clean. Like I've been breathing through a straw and someone just removed it. I crouch down and wrap my arms around him, pressing my face into his fur. He smells like rain and earth and something uniquely him. He leans into me, solid and warm and real, and I let myself cry, not out of pain, but out of release, out of gratitude, out of the overwhelming relief of being seen. When we get home, the house feels different, lighter. The sun breaks through the clouds, sending shafts of pale gold through the windows. The boxes are still in the hallway, but they don't loom the way they used to. They're just boxes. The empty spaces don't echo with ghosts. The silence isn't suffocating. It's calm, peaceful, mine. I open the door and this time it doesn't resist. It swings open, smoothly, welcoming. Sunlight filters through the windows, faint but warm, casting soft patterns across the hardwood floor. River scratched that first night. River trots in like he belongs, and I follow him, not behind, not chasing, but beside him. Partners. I pick up the last unopened box, the one I've been avoiding, the one with his winter coat and the photo album we made together, and carry it to the curb. I don't open it. I don't sort through it one last time. I don't second guess. I just set it down, stand up straight, and inhale deeply, letting it stay there, letting it go. River nudges my hand with his nose, tail gently wagging as if asking, "Ready?" I nod, even though I'm not sure what I'm ready for. But it doesn't matter, because for the first time in months, I'm not afraid of what comes next. I'm not afraid of being alone because I'm not alone. I'm not afraid of starting over because I already have. We step outside together, not to escape, but to begin. The air is crisp and clean. The world is still gray, still damp, still Portland. But it feels different now. It feels possible. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe and share your experience in the comments. Your support keeps these stories alive. I thought I was saving him, but he saved me.